Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving a look at those temperatures across the area. You see pretty cool right now, but we've been seeing some big temperature contrast with very low humidity here as we've been looking during those daytime hours. And back on that Tuesday, seeing values under 20% where I'm at East Stark, and we're lucky we've been seeing some precipitation or otherwise, back on Sunday I'm talking about, because otherwise we'd have a bigger fire concern around. So at least that's some good news because that's some of the lowest humidity I've really been seeing here, looking back on that Tuesday where I'm at in a while. But uh, again, things pretty calm here right now, but a different story nationally, just kind of hot off the presses here over the last few moments. There's now a big increase in the tornado risk toward Illinois on that Wednesday here. So family and friends there, and I don't know why. Let's go ahead and send this to you. There was a thought process based on some of the East Triple R model runs that there could be a pretty big jump, and it's a very unusually big jump. Went from a 2% risk there. At first, it wasn't any type of tornado risk, then a 2%, and now all the way up to a 10% risk. And there could even be some strong tornadoes here in what is the hatched area later on that Wednesday afternoon and the evening. So Peoria, Champaign, Kankakee there. This could be a pretty big deal. We may have to do a cut-in or two if things escalate, in terms of something really getting significant. You're not right in the Chicago metro there with maybe a strong tornado. The risk not quite there, but it's not far off. Again, Kankakee, that's at Bloomington, Illinois there, Lincoln, Illinois, Decatur in there, Champaign to the University of Illinois, even getting close to Ward and maybe in the kind of Terre Haute, Indiana, there, right on the edge of that. So again, a tornado risk just developed, and that even, starts off right there in eastern Missouri and, east central southeast. This has really escalated from not much of one to a pretty significant one later on that Wednesday. Again, a change here. I know we were very busy over the weekend, about as busy as we've been here, in terms of the severe weather across the country. I mean, hurricane season, is one thing. We've been very busy with that here over the last several years, but this is maybe even a little bit, more interesting in terms of just having to be with you guys and on guard for a longer period, because at least with a hurricane, you kind of have an idea of the timeline, but with the, tornado threat here, it's not just a timeline that's confined. You have an idea of it, but having to be on and off for 40 hours or so. So again, just I know with this threat here, it'd be much more shortened timeline as we're looking toward parts of Illinois. But this is what the modeling says early afternoon, and then I'll kind of progress it here. And you see, this is around 3 o'clock Central Time. Could have some supercellular storms developing 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock Central Time. But for a few hours there, we could have a threat for some strong tornadoes. Peoria, Illinois, that type of region there in that state is where the biggest focus is. But even a tornado watch could get issued for Chicago, Fort Wayne in Indiana, Indianapolis there, down toward Evansville, Indiana. So this is something that's escalating here very rapidly. Again, went from not much of a risk to a pretty significant one now over a short period of time. So again, just continuing to watch things here. I know we have some winter weather associated with the low pressure as well. And there could be some fire weather too. That's a pretty deep low pressure there coming across. Now we're going to get some rain here in our area on Thursday, but we're not expecting severe weather still. That is not what the anticipation is here unless something really dramatically changes. Now, we do have the logo back blue. Hopefully we don't have to go back red with it here. I thought we may be seeing a significant jump in the tornado risk for Wednesday, but I just didn't have enough confidence we'd have to break in for sure. Still don't. I mean, we'll just watch and wait here, but that's a big jump. You don't see that. That's very unusual to see that big of an increase there in the forecast for a day for now a risk of strong and, potentially a very impactful tornadoes there in northern Illinois. That Wednesday afternoon. So Champaign, Peoria, those areas there at greatest risk. Back to the local view here. I know we had some tornadoes of our own here toward our area. Of course, just terrible, deadly tornadoes out to the west and north. My thoughts and prayers go out to everybody impacted. I mean, we're talking about many, many fatalities. Even some EF4 tornadoes that pull up the enhanced Vegeta scale here. And we're talking about devastating tornadoes in parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana area as well. I know I didn't double check some of that latest data on that, but I know there were some surveys that are still ongoing out toward the west where we were getting some reports of EF4s, which are very significant. Now, toward our area, you see where we're at here, and then toward, Charlton County, we had an EF0 tornado indicated. That was confirmed by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville. An EF1 tornado in Mitchell County, Georgia. That was the strongest one that we had in our area, it would seem. And then another EF1, winds weren't quite as strong, down there toward Columbia and Baker counties. That was more a rural zone, 90-mile-an-hour winds. With that one, the Columbia Baker tornado was more in toward the Osceola Forest. We saw the debris signature on the air. The one there toward parts of Charlton was at 85-mile-an-hour, EF0, so just under that, but actually did impact a little bit of the structures there. But the biggest one by far, honestly, a little surprised it wasn't higher, but the Mitchell County tornado, 105-mile-an-hour winds there from 6:28 to 6:36 a.m. Monday, Sunday morning, and, caused some structures to even be destroyed there. And you have one tornado with 105-mile-an-hour winds in South Georgia on that Sunday morning, Mitchell County. So around the Seal City area in general, as we're looking at things there. So my thoughts and prayers go to everybody in our area impacted as well here by the tornadic activity. No fatalities in our area, luckily. We're grateful for that. But it's still, something that's impacting folks. A tornado outbreak, that's going to be remembered for a while. I mean, such a long race, and it wasn't just, you're going to have the winds, for so-and-so, we got to be on the air for, 12 hours for the landfall, and then lead up to it. Intermittently, we had to be on guard here because the potential for huge tornadoes out of the Midwest and the South, Southeast there. I mean, for many, many hours. About 48 hours between that and our local concerns. So, as we go ahead and go back on over toward this viewpoint here, I do want to jump on in toward the tornado safety tips here. Let's go ahead and jump on over there. We had a historic outbreak that occurred, but these are now going to apply to Illinois as well. That's something quickly developing risk here. Quickly developing risk there for parts of Illinois, Peoria, Bloomington, Illinois, Kankakee, Champaign, Decatur, Springfield, and even Terre Haute, Indiana. There's now a risk of some strong tornadoes. The HATS area has just been introduced for later on this Wednesday here. This is March 19th, 2025. So when there's tornado watch is issued, you want to stay tuned for the latest updates into our devices. Have multiple ways to receive alerts when a tornado warning is issued. When there are tornado warnings issued, you want to try to avoid taking shelter in a mobile home. Get inside a sturdy building. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet, football helmet, baseball helmet, something like that. Make sure you have the shoes on in a situation like this as well. So again, quickly developing risk of tornadoes that could be strong in an isolated few instances. Later on that Wednesday afternoon later this afternoon in parts of Illinois. So again, it went from 0 and now it's getting up there. It's just significant. So don't normally see that. As we go ahead and look here at our next 7 days in terms of rainfall toward our area, you see not a whole bunch. We kind of still can use rain because it's been so dry, and it could still be dry, and drier coming up, and it might be a bigger deal toward Central and South Florida and the Keys. I know already having an issue. Fire danger, shutting down critical road there, getting folks in and out of the Keys on that Tuesday. So that's not great, but I know you can go to clutterthat.com/radar for an interactive look at things. We had around a third of an inch of rain on Sunday here, east of Stark, so better than nothing, but all that wind, all that dryness is drying out quick again. So, a lot of areas anyway. So, I mean, at least we're gonna get a little rain in the forecast. This is, not great. That we like to use more in some of these regions, but it'll do for the time being. We still are pretty close to what we need for the year. We just gotta be careful not to really start getting a dry stretch, but we don't want the severe weather either. So it's a very big give and take, and it could be more central and South Florida and the Keys that really have the wildfire threat, because their dryness here is a little bit more concerning based on just the overall numbers here. But let's go ahead and keep going. I know it's been really dry down there in a lot of cases since the hurricanes, last year, Milton especially, but that one was wet for them. Went across the peninsula. But I know we're in Bradford County here, and we're always watching things for the 62 county goes on for any tornado warning storm in the area. And we were doing that on Sunday here. It was busy considering we'd already been, tracking things Friday night in Missouri and Arkansas and surrounding states Saturday. Didn't get any sleep Saturday night. Normally I can at least get a little, but went straight through there. And honestly, myself, honestly, hasn't, I haven't had a situation here where I've caught up in my sleep too much yet. I've, here and there, but as we're looking at things, I know we'll always be watching things for the 62 counties, for the nation as it is warranted. Sometimes the stories out in the national picture to maybe not maximize in a way. So we're able to, not necessarily need to be on for those, but that's something local TV stations will be covering. But when they're big enough stories, we'll be on for them nationally. Hope we don't have to break back in later today, but it could happen. Now, Thursday, we're expecting some shower activity, maybe a storm or two, but not really expecting severe weather at all here. The perimeters don't really look like they're going to come into play, but if something happens, we'll break in, obviously, on Thursday here for anything locally. If it's a tornado warning, if it's severe thunderstorm warning, flash flood warning somehow, which I don't know how we're going to get a flash flood warning out of this here, but on Thursday, it's probably not going to happen, not going to be enough rain, but the point being is if it's not enough to break in, we'll just post about it on Facebook and then Twitter/X. But it's a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning, a little more significant, more noteworthy. We'll be on for you guys, but not expecting to need to do that. And we're going to be off from our formal update late Thursday. I know March Madness going on here, college basketball, and that's such a big deal here in the country, and hopefully a lot of folks have a chance to enjoy those games. I know I wish my Seminoles were in it, but I know we do have, locally here, a team from Alachua County, the Florida Gators in it. So we'll see how they do there. 1 seed, they'll be in there to play the same team they played years ago when they won one of their titles as 01 versus 16. Of course, graduated from FSU, big Seminole fan, but there's a decent chance the Gators men's basketball team's going to win the national championship here in just a few weeks. They're really, really talented, and they've been playing really well. So, got to give them a lot of credit for that. But every team that wants to win it, outside the teams in the first 4, which they have to win 7, but everybody else has to win 6 games, and only one team, it's going to be able to win 6 games in the first round on and win that title. First 4 teams like North Carolina, the one back on that Tuesday night, they'd have to win that and then 6 more, but for the first round on, because first 4 is not called the first round. But anyhow, storyline is we'll just kind of have to see how things go here in the next few weeks as we're tracking things here on that front. But again, I'll play Thursday here, and I know women's basketball tournament and play. FSU is in that. They'll be out there in Baton Rouge, and hopefully they can get the job done there and advance to the second round there. As things there will be on the ESPN Family Network with that contest. But again, looking at things here, tracking them again. We'll be with you. I know Sunday there could be some severe weather out toward Dallas and Shreveport, Louisiana. And, that's something that we'll be paying attention to. If it's a big enough story, we'll cut in for that. And on Monday, we could have some stronger storms around here. Not a huge deal yet, but it shouldn't become a huge deal, but doesn't mean we couldn't get some warnings. If we need to be on for those, we'll on all the different platforms. So I know a lot of folks on spring break this week. Be careful at the beaches and the like here because, I mean, you gotta watch out for rip currents here and just the water in general. The water in general, you know, I'm talking about folks, you know, they're not used to, they're not used to how things are around here. Not used to how the situation is at the coast and can get caught off guard. Can definitely get caught off guard here. So we'll just continue to watch things there in that regard. You don't want to get caught off guard. You're not used to swimming here in the area waters, but if you're from like Midwest or something like that, it can be very dangerous. May look kind of not tricky, and then you might catch yourself in a situation that could be a matter of life and death there in the water off the coast. As we go ahead and look at your fog safety now. As we're looking at things, I know patches of that'll be around the fogginess, and you just need to make sure you're slowing down and giving yourself extra time to reach your destination. Make sure your vehicle is visible as possible to other vehicles by using your low beam headlights, and leave plenty of room between you and the vehicle in front of you. And here's that extended forecast now. Not much of a rain chance here on that Wednesday, but it's going to be a big temperature contrast going from the 40s to the 80s because it's so dry still with the low humidity. And you start to see a little bit of the tightening in the numbers, especially like Thursday, and then kind of see them broaden back out, you know, distance yourselves again because there's some dryness around. But toward Monday, 7% chance of rain, isolated strong severe storms possible. And then we see back on that Tuesday there, rain chances start to dip back down again to about 40%. So that's kind of your extended outlook there. You know, above that, below average, the lows, like today, below average, the high above average. It's such a, you know, such a dry picture. There's highs that are so warm there. I mean, it sometimes isn't felt as much because you're not getting a heat index up there too much because there's not much of a humidity factor. So kind of interesting to keep that in mind as we're looking at things here. As you're tracking them, that's more like a desert. Seeing just a big temperature contrast like that going from 43 to 81. So, you know, that's intriguing there for sure. Let me go ahead and switch out of this, and we'll go back on over toward that national storyline. Now, it is a pretty big one there, folks. So let me go ahead and kind of pull those tornado safety tips up again. Remind you guys of those. Just reiterate this risk here up toward the north. And this outlook just came out here in the last few moments, hot off the presses there. And this is a pretty big deal. Chances some strong tornadoes there in Illinois now. A big escalation going from a 2% and more than quadrupling that to a 10%. Now, tornado risk for areas that are in Illinois, like Peoria and Champaign, where the University of Illinois is, but not just there, but you have Bloomington, Illinois, you have Lincoln, where Weather Service office is, Springfield, Illinois. I think Taylorville got hit by a bad tornado years ago. And you see Terre Haute, Indiana. I can't talk tonight, I apologize, but I've been very busy here, and, you know, going back to that weekend and the like, but Kankakee, that's getting, you know, into some of the Chicago areas there, on the edge at least of the metro. I don't know if you'd call that the metro exactly, but the metro is more up here. But even there's a 5% tornado risk. So a tornado watch could be in play for Chicago and some of those areas in between there. So again, you see Fort Wayne in Indiana, 5% risk. Indianapolis, that's enough generally for tornado watch, and even 5% tornado risk. So again, this is for later today now. This is a big jump. Big escalation from a minor, you know, isolated brief spin up to something that could be strong and even, you know, very, very dangerous for a few folks. Here, because I'll go ahead and pull it up again here to model guidance. And I need to take it out of winter mode, but there you go. That's what we're expecting there meteorologically around 3 p.m. Central Time. That's 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. For a few hours there, we could have a nasty, you know, bunch of discrete storms that could be producing tornadoes there and tornado warnings. We gotta pay attention there. We gotta pay attention here in the meteorology world. So we're back on as it's necessary. If it's necessary, but we're off Thursday. Next one update will be Tuesday, but if you need to break in whenever, we'll be here with you. And that NCAA men's basketball tournament, the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Those games there are getting underway as we're looking at things, and a lot of folks, including myself, will be watching them. So, but we'll be on here as needed to protect you guys. It's spring break for a lot of folks too, and I'll be back in a week with another formal update. But we'll probably be back on at some point, whether it's local or national. Local next week, potentially on Monday, or national later today, or both. Or maybe we'll get lucky and it won't be either. But I know up here, parameters may not be quite as much, but those storms by themselves around Rockford, that could be a concern. And the hail risk does kind of, 15% cover that area. The wind risk does cover Chicago a little bit more so than the hail, but your strong tornadoes possible in there. There's your 10%, your 5%, your 2%, which even goes into eastern Missouri now. So we're looking at things. And as you look back here, this is actually, some of this is snow, winter weather. Could actually have a little bit of wintry weather in far northern Georgia. As we're looking ahead here. I'll go ahead and advance this real quick because I was looking at this. If folks are spring break and want to see snow, by the way, there's our shower and maybe rogue thunderstorm chance on early Thursday. That's 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon. They don't look too robust, but as you look up here, and I need to go ahead and go forward with this. I mean, you see eventually there in North Georgia, 7 p.m., we have some snow there in northern Georgia there. Later March, spring break, get some snow maybe, flurries at least. That sounds interesting. If you wanted to go to the mountainous areas up there to see that. But just be careful, of course. But again, there's that risk. You already see some thunderstorm activity out toward eastern parts of Nebraska. Pretty strong winds as well. Gotta watch out for fire dangers too. They've had bad fire concerns. Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, that was centered there recently. And with those type of winds, that can continue here as we look ahead. But we're watching that risk there out toward the Midwest. Let me wind this back here a little bit more. Again, that's a pretty telling picture there. Some of those storms all by themselves. That's around 4 p.m. Central Time later today. So this afternoon. That's going to do it. Have a great night. Stay safe. We'll be back here as warranted, but otherwise we'll be back in a week with another formal update. But very well could have to break in before that. Of course, you have the interactive radar, clutterthere.com/radar, when stuff isn't enough for us to break in for. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of that week and weekend, and I'll be back here as time, says that we need to be on here in terms of those breaking weather conditions.